Welcome to How to Deal When the Shit Gets Real podcast. I'm Rietta, and today I'm here with Pops Danny. So, Pops, how do you deal when the shit gets real? Or just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am Pops Danny, 65 years old. I guess you could say one of the grumpy old farts. you know, uh, I've been around the block a few times. I am disabled, and we run a little small nonprofit here in the state of Oklahoma, doing backpacks for the homeless in memory of our youngest son, Zachariah.
I love how you call it a small little profit, like it's not making a big difference. You should give your nonprofit more credit.
Yeah, I'm trying to get out of that habit. Whenever I say small, I'm referring to, in comparison to like Wounded Warriors or Susan G. Coleman, ones that have been around for eons. We've only been in existence 2 years, uh, and we primarily just focus on the state of Oklahoma. Although we have reached outside of Oklahoma on several occasions, but primarily our focus is the state of Oklahoma.
Do you plan to expand Zachary's of Hopes at some point outside of Oklahoma?
I would love to. The need, the need in this country is far more than what just one organization, two or three can handle. It's going to take efforts in every state, every city to get this problem that we are facing. And I want to say it, this epidemic that we are facing of the homeless in this country under control. And the only way it's going to get under control is by the nonprofits. The government's not going to be able to do it. Come on, let's get real. They proved that already.
Mm-hmm.
Leave it to the nonprofits. Let the nonprofits be the ones to help the homeless. Government can't do it.
No,
That's
because you,
my
like you
opinion.
said it. If they were gonna, they would already done it, right?
Yeah, exactly. How many years have we been dealing with homeless? Let's go back. Let's see. You can go back, clear back to the Great Depression. You had the hobos. Then it was they changed it to the transients. Then it was the love children. Then the hippies. Now they're calling them. It went to the homeless, and now they're calling them the unhoused. When are we going to stop labeling it and start addressing it?
It's a valid question. And I'm sure you've thought about this, and I'm sure a lot of people have very common misconceptions. What do you believe is a common misconception about the homeless?
One of the biggest misconceptions that you will run into is one that I get every single night on my TikTok, almost. 99.8% of all homeless individuals are either rug addicts, excuse me, they're not on TikTok anymore, so I can say it. They're not they're either drug addicts, alcoholics, or they have psychological issues. That's a ball faced lie. The fact is, it is a high number at about 66 and two-thirds percent. But the truth is that of that 66 and two-thirds percent that are addicted to drugs or alcohol, the majority, the majority were not addicted to drugs or alcohol when they became homeless. But within 6 short months, the despair, the anxiety, the fear, everything just came crashing in on them. And they were looking for an escape. How many of us out here have not looked for an escape at some point in time in our life?
Absolutely.
But they're having to look for it every day to deal with it. The other misconception is that they're a bunch of bums. They would they'd be off the street if they just go get a job. Well, let me ask you, if you're a business owner and you have somebody come in that wants to apply for a job, just sweeping the floors in your business, and they're going to be representing your business, would you want somebody coming in that stinks to the high heaven because they haven't been able to get a bath in 2 or 3 weeks, wearing clothes that they slept in for a week, not being able to just do the basics? Would you hire them honestly? I have a lot of people that sit there. First thing they'll say, "Well, yeah, I'd hire them in a heartbeat." Come on, don't lie to me. Don't lie to me.
I do think I
You
would be
you
torn, but I do agree with you that my first instinct would be, "Ooh, I don't know about that."
Yeah, exactly. You're going. The thing is that the majority of the people are going to sit there and think, "Okay, if I let them in my establishment, it's going to run my customers off. What are they going to steal from me? Uh, what's it going to look like having this bum hang around in my establishment all the time? Well, I can't afford to lose business like that. I just can't do it. I can't do it. I'm sorry." That's going to be the majority of people today. That's
Yeah,
the sad fact.
that is a
And I'm
sad
not
fact.
trying I'm not trying to be rude by saying that, but I'm trying to be literally honest. The sad fact is that people will refuse to give them a job and to give them a chance simply because of appearance.
I absolutely believe you because we are very appearance based. I mean, that's just like you said, it's just the honest truth. We do judge a book by its cover, even though we try to say
Yep,
that we don't.
yep, very true.
So this all brought you to starting Zach Rays of Hopes. So how did you end up starting Zach Rays of Hope?
Okay, Zach's Rays of Hope came about because of our youngest son. Our youngest son's name was Zachariah. Zachariah was a very kind hearted, caring individual. He would get his shirt off his back to anyone at any given time. At the end of November, 1st of December in 2021, he did just that by taking a blanket to a man that was living in a shed that had no electricity, no heat, and no insulation. Now, southeast Oklahoma, that time of year, is pretty doggone cold. 18 days later, our youngest son was pronounced dead at that man's hands. We had to lay our youngest son to rest 2 days before Christmas in 2021 at the age of 33. Now, of course, I'm just giving you the Cliff Notes for this because it does go a lot more into detail with the whole story. But for the sake of time and everything, I'm just giving you the Cliff Notes. But a few months later, we heard the story of a man who went to a religious homeless shelter and asked for admission because it was below 20 degrees outside. They refused to give him admission based on his lifestyle. So that night, when they locked the doors of the shelter, he curled up in the doorway of the shelter to get heat from the building. The next morning, when they unlocked the doors, Sadly, they found the man frozen, unalived, or passing away during the night, freezing. At that point in time, my wife and I said, enough is enough. We can't take it anymore. Somebody's got to do something. So why not us? So we started our journey to become a 501c3 nonprofit organization. May 4th of 2023, we were granted that status by the federal government. May 5th of 2023, we were recognized by the state of Oklahoma as a nonprofit. The Zach's Rays of Hope, Backpacks for the Homeless, Hope for the Hopeless was established. It took us a while. It took a lot of planning. Our first year, we had a goal of 100 complete backpacks. People told us we were crazy. We were stupid. We'd never be able to do 100 complete backpacks in the first year. But we did. And we surpassed it. We even, in our first year, reached outside of the state of Oklahoma to South Carolina, to Georgia, and to Ohio, helping a young couple that was homeless, having to stay in a motel. We helped them out. We helped out a homeless man who hadn't had anything to eat in a few days. So we sent him a little bit of money to get some food. And then another homeless couple that were living in their pickup truck that one of the parts went out and the timing belt broke on their truck. And it was in the middle of winter, December, as a matter of fact. And there was snow coming in. They needed to have the heat in their vehicle to be able to stay warm. So we helped them out. Now, this year, I was challenged early on with a goal of 365 complete backpacks, a backpack a day. We're sitting right now at 276. 271 of those are here in the state of Oklahoma. 5 of them are in Dayton, Ohio. That's not good enough. I mean, we're only 90 something away from our goal. That's not good enough. I was challenged to go for 375. That's not good enough. I had another challenge put to me for 400. We are going to do 400 complete backpacks this year.
Yes, you
And we're
are.
only 2 years old. We're only 2 years old. So uh, we're breaking the mold, really.
And that's
You
exactly
know,
what this world needs is people like you and people like me that break the mold.
I've had people come to me and tell me, from major corporations that came in that they're trying to sell us some of their computer programs and stuff for the nonprofit or convince us to use theirs. Tell us, we've got this big program about nonprofits and, it's all set up in the software, but you're nowhere on this program. You're an anomaly. Our program could not even calculate and figure you in with what you're doing because you're doing it
Interesting.
on TikTok. You're doing it on TikTok. We had no way of figuring that in. So, the odds of a business like this getting up and going without federal grants, without private grants, only off the revenue that we bring in off of TikTok is unheard of. I mean, yeah, I'm sure that there are some that have made, a little bit here and there off of it, but to have 98% or more of your money coming strictly from TikTok, I don't know of anybody else doing it.
You gotta use what works, and clearly it's working for you.
Yeah. Uh, and it's just the fact that I believe that there are better answers out there. I believe that compassion, love, respect, and dignity all go hand in hand. You've got to show respect to each other as human beings. And we're getting away from that. We've lost respect
We have.
for each other. We're too busy labeling each other. That's my opinion.
I can hear the passion in your voice, which is super important when you're doing the work that you're doing. So I love that.
No, thank you. Uh, if I didn't believe in what I was doing, I wouldn't be doing it.
Ain't
I
that the
am
truth?
yeah, I am a religious person. I will, you know, I am a follower of Christ. I will not apologize for that. And I believe what the scripture says, and that we are told in the scripture that we're to go to the hedges, the highways, and the byways and bring them in. We are to go and take care of our widows, our orphans, our disabled, our sick, our poor. Sadly, in my opinion, the majority of churches today, the majority, not all, but the majority, have lost their first love. Their first love being that of Jesus Christ and his teachings.
And
I
just
mean,
love,
come on.
period.
Yeah, come on. Let's stop and face it. If they had not lost their love for their first love, then the widow that lives right next to the church, who just lost her husband, doesn't know how she's going to pay her bills, she would be taken care of. The homeless man that's digging through the trash can out behind the dumpster of the church after the Sunday lunch that they've had, trying to find something to eat, they would be bringing him in to the church and offering him a meal instead of letting him have to dig through the trash can. We'd be opening up homeless shelters at our churches instead of telling our homeless that, you know, you can either go to jail, go to a homeless shelter that's overcrowded, no room for you, or you can be forcefully put into an insane asylum, like what's happening in Oklahoma right now, which is doing nothing but causing the homeless to actually have to live in the sewers with the rats. What's
It's
that
all
telling somebody?
it's all very, very unfortunate.
What's that telling that homeless person? You're nothing more than an infestation on this planet. You don't mean nothing to us. They're a fellow human being, and you're going to treat them like that? Shame,
Shame, yeah.
shame.
And to backtrack just a little, with your
Yes,
son,
ma'am.
and you said he gave that man a blanket, and then he was
Yes, ma'am.
gone 18 days later. Was that man a homeless person?
Primarily, yes. He was staying on his aunt's property, and he was staying in just a portable shed that she had on her property. No electricity, no heat, no insulation going to it. It was just a shed. That's the only place he had to stay.
And what's really impressive then is that you are still helping homeless, despite the fact that somebody who was homeless took your own son.
Well, let me ask you this. How can I judge a whole group of people based on what one person did? You know,
I agree with you.
yeah, even when Christ was hanging on the cross, he could have annihilated the entire earth, but instead he showed compassion and restraint and love.
There's just, like you talked about, though, there's a lot of people that would not think that way. That, if they took their child, would be like, nope, I never want to associate with people like that ever again. So it just shows how big you and your wife's heart truly is.
Trust me, I hear that almost on a nightly basis. You know, somebody will come in and hear the story, and oh, there's no way there's no way I could do that. They wouldn't be walking the face of the earth. That's not my choice. It's not my right to judge. That's God's business.
Did the man end up going to prison for what he did to your son?
No, what he what ended up happening is very simple. They had difficulty proving the facts of the case in that they didn't have enough evidence, as they call it, to be able to prove intent. So instead of even going with manslaughter, they ended up just dropping it down to possession with intent to distribute. And him giving over the names of a few other people. He spent a total, he had a total sentence of 7 years. 2 years in the state penitentiary, 2 years probation, supervised probation, and 3 years unsupervised. He spent 7 months in the state penitentiary. October 18th of last year, he got out. October 20th, U.S. Marshals kicked in his front door, rearrested him, and extradited him to New York State, where he had a warrant in New York State. As soon as he got to New York State, went before the judge, first thing out of his mouth was, I need rehab. They put him into a rehab facility. He's completed it. He completed their halfway house. Now he's living in New York State, running his own business, doing sheetrock and painting, while our son is living out eternity in his grave.
That has to be hard sometimes, huh? I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
it is nice to see that he turned his life around, but I'm sure it's still hard as well.
Well, the point is, where's the justice?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it just that's the only thing that bothers me. I can get over the fact that the man did what he did. The man did have some mental illness. He suffers from severe depression, and but still, it's not debilitating type of mental illness that would cause a plea of insanity, so or temporary insanity or anything of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
So where's the justice? They proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that they're see what it was. They they gave my son 2 injections. One while he was conscious. When he passed out, they gave him another injection in the muscle of the arm instead of in the vein. Our son had 26 injuries to his body, ranging anywhere from the size of a man's knee in the center of his back to scrapes and bruises. We know that they mixed something up in the second injection. What we were told was that it was dog feces,
Oh my God.
which caused septic shock
I was
to
gonna
set
say
up.
that. Yeah.
And we literally had to watch for 4 days while our son slowly passed away in front of our face each day. He was on a ventilator, and we were never able to talk to him again.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Thank you. I don't talk about it very much on that aspect of it. I just give the cliff notes most generally. Uh,
Understandable.
it does bother my wife tremendously. That's why I try to stay away from it as much as I can, because usually when I'm doing my live, she's sitting here playing her game or doing something on her phone, and she can hear the entire conversation. So I try to stay away from it so it doesn't bother her.
Well, that's
So
understandable, and thank you for sharing.
sure.
On that note, since I think it's really important, what would you tell someone who is grieving such a profound loss like that?
One thing, time. It's the only thing I can tell you is time. You see, grief is like standing on the edge of an ocean, and you're sitting back looking at this beautiful sunset shining over the city, and you decide, I want to see what it looks like over the ocean. I want to see that beautiful sunset over the ocean. And this whole time, you're feeling the waves just kissing your ankles as you're standing there. Then you turn around and you got a 30-foot wall of water coming straight at you. That's the way grief works. You don't know why. You don't know when. You don't know what's going to cause it. It could be a simple scent from a cologne, a word, the way somebody tufts their hair, piece of clothing. It'll set you off every time. So the only thing I can tell you is very simply time.
That's
Words from a wise man
that's a great
that
analogy,
can
honestly.
that came from another wise man. So uh, I have a few wise men that I hang around with every once in a while.
I don't doubt that for a minute.
But yeah, those are the only things that you can really, you know, it does get easier with time. Not a whole lot, you know. You know, every birthday, every Father's Day, every Mother's Day, every Thanksgiving, every Christmas, every holiday. It's ripping the scab off the wound every time. So with each year, it gets a little bit easier. Not much, but it does get a little easier. But the best thing I could tell anyone that's going through grief, talk about it. Find you a counselor, get the grief counseling, because you will need it. If you don't use it and don't get it, you'll drive yourself insane. You're going to, if it's a parent that's lost a child, you're going to blame yourself. You're going to blame everything that you can blame. You've got to be able to get these things out and realize not everything can you control.
Yeah, unfortunately, we would like to be able to control everything, myself included, but that's just not
Yeah,
the way the cookie crumbles.
unfortunately,
Unfortunately.
very unfortunate. So
But let's take it back up the hill a little. We
sure,
slid down to the we slid down to the sad part. Let's try to pick ourselves back up a little. How
sure,
can we
no
as a
problem.
society help change homelessness?
Get involved. Number one, I am very adamant on this. You look at the way this country was set up. This great nation was set up under the founding principles of we the people, for the people, by the people, not we the corporation, for the corporation, by the corporation. It's we the people. We the people are the only ones that are going to get this straightened out. Our politicians have failed us for the past 50 years. They have failed our military. They have our veterans. They have failed our elderly and disabled. They have failed our homeless. But the biggest, saddest part is have failed we ourselves because we have allowed these people to stay in office instead of voting people out that we see are not doing their jobs. Wake up, America. If you went to work and you sat back drawing a salary every day doing nothing, how long would you have a job? Not very long.
Nope.
But yet we have congressmen and senators that don't do hardly anything that have been there 30 and 40 years.
Ain't that the truth?
Because we're too daggum lazy to go out and dig up the facts for ourselves and to go out and vote. Go vote. Very simple. Go vote.
And not just to
Don't
get the
vote.
sticker.
Yeah. And not just for the party. That's the biggest mistake anybody can make is to sit there and vote party line all the way. That's all there is to it. It's got to be party line all the way. Oh, that's what's got us in this shape that we're in right now. Here we're under a government shutdown right now because of party lines.
Yep. We'll see
This
if my
is what,
husband gets paid next paycheck.
yeah, that's what is hurting the homeless because of party lines. That's what's hurting the disabled and the elderly because of party lines. We've got to stop and we got to realize vote for the best person for the job, not for the party.
Which is how it always should be, right?
Yeah,
When you're interviewing for a job, you would want the person to hire whoever is the best fit for the job, not how they
exactly.
look or how they dress or how they act or who they know. It's whoever can do the job the best.
Very true. And unfortunately, we have sat back for far too long on our laurels with our hands underneath our buttocks, sitting here saying, well, they're doing a good job. Let's just let them handle it. They ain't doing a good job, folks. I'm telling you now. If they were doing a good job, we wouldn't have it where, well, let me back up. Let me give you some facts here. Let's wake up reality. From
Do it.
2010, from 2010 to 2023, there was a survey done to find out what the fastest growing age population was becoming unhoused in the United States. Majority of you aren't going to get this, but I'll tell you what it was. Age 55 and above, and you're disabled. They grew at a 150% increase in that 13-year period. 150% increase.
That's insanity.
We had 139,098 homeless people in 2023. Homeless, senior citizens, and disabled. By 2030, they are anticipating that number to go up to 414,200 and some odd senior citizens and disabled people. Almost 500,000 people, folks. 500,000. Now, when are you going to wake up? When are we going to wake up? When it's our mother, our dad? When it's your daughter that's being forced into an insane asylum because she was found sleeping on the side of the road? Or your son that's being thrown into an overcrowded jail because there's no room at the homeless shelter? When are we going to wake up and say enough is enough?
And you're not wrong. Unfortunately, for a lot of people, that is what it takes. It has to be somebody they know or somebody they love before they give a damn.
Yeah, very true. So I hope my words don't land on deaf ears. I hope and pray that it's not too late. I hope and pray that people take this conversation that we're having to heart and realize we are the only ones that can change it. With our foundation, I'll tell you, I don't take a salary. We try not to even take gas money when we go to deliver the backpacks. I pay for my own cell phone. I pay for my own internet. And we take the time to drive clear to Oklahoma City, which is a 3-hour drive one way, to deliver the backpacks, and then 3 hours back home. So I'm not saying this for people to sit there and say, oh, that poor man. No. What I'm saying is look at your nonprofits. Find out which ones are actually doing what they should be doing and which ones that are taking advantage of the fact and paying themselves exorbitant salaries, using exorbitant money for fancy cars and getaways and all this kind of stuff instead of doing what they should be doing. That is what their nonprofit was set up to do, like what Zach's Raise Hope does. That's my
And
point.
that's a good point to make. And for those who want to get involved with Zach Rays of Hope, how can they do that?
Okay, one of the best ways you can get involved with us, particularly, is through ZROHF.org, Zach's Rays of Hope Foundation.org. Very, very simple. You can check me out on TikTok. I'm on TikTok 7 days a week, 365 days out of the year, most generally, unless I'm too sick or I'm traveling to be on from 7 until 10:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Uh, as basically, I'll put it very simply. I live, sleep, eat, and drink Zach's Rays Hope.
And I
That's the
don't
bottom line.
I don't doubt that for a second because like I said, I can hear it in your voice and I've been on Pops's live quite a few times now and he is a very very honest, no bullshit type person, which I value very much so. So, if y'all
Thank
want to
you.
get involved and you're on TikTok or you just want to donate, whatever you want to do, make sure you go find Pops.
I appreciate it. Now, you had one question earlier about what our biggest aspiration is
I did.
for Zach's
I'm
Rays of Hope.
look at you remembering. So proud of you.
Thank you. One of the biggest goals, I doubt that I'll ever see this happen,
Don't
but
say that. We're it's going to happen.
the thing is, the biggest goal I have that would do my heart the best would be a total recovery ranch, where that you would actually be working with court system. You have it set up where it's a minimum of a 2 year commitment, if not three, where they would have to go in, get clean, and work a ranch. Half of them would stay in the mornings for their counseling sessions, while half of them went out and worked. Then at lunch, you would rotate. That would be for the first year. So you're teaching them an actual skill, farmhand skills. When you go into the second year, plus while you're doing this, you can also be teaching them if they don't have a GED, you can have people come in and help them get their GED. They get their GED, then the second year they start working on a VOTEC program. Now, at the same time that this is going on, you have some tiny houses set up on the outside of the ranch for any family member of the person that is living on the recovery ranch for them to be able to stay in at a minimal charge. Okay. After they've completed their 2 years, now they would still have to work the ranch, still have to do their NA or AA meetings. They would go and try to get the VOTEC finished. If they can't get it finished in the 2 years, then you have a third year option where they can stay in the tiny house with their family on the outside of the compound or the ranch, whatever you want to call it. But they have to finish off their VOTEC degree and have a financial counselor come in and help figure out a financial goal for them to start setting for themselves and help work out their finances so that they can see and keep from going back to the street. If they find themselves in a position after 3, 4 years down, 5 years down the road, they find themselves in a position where they need to return to the ranch, we'd always open it back up for them and let them come back in for a rehab to get back on their feet. You see, it's not our place to judge. It's our place to help. That's our ultimate goal.
I think
But
that's fantastic.
the goal that we have right now, like I said, is the backpacks for the homeless. But we have a in between goal. That in between goal is to get people off the street into a tiny house community or into some take a motel that's been shut down and renovate it, turn it into an apartment complex, and economy apartments, and rent them out at a rate that people can afford. You see, that's one of the biggest issues is finances. The average person that is on SSI, supplemental security income, makes $900 a month. The average cost of rent in the United States today is $1,702 a month. They're already $800 behind the eight ball
Yeah,
right off the bat.
right off the bat. Yeah, and that doesn't include food and gas and anything else.
So if you had a economy apartment set up where they could rent for say $350 a month instead of $1,700 a month, wouldn't that make more sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you're not dependent on Section 8 housing. You're not dependent on the government. You're dependent upon a nonprofit to take care of the business. Leave the government out of it. Let the nonprofits manage it. There's no need in the government getting involved in it. Let the nonprofits do
Well, we're going to put it out in the universe that you reach both your in-between goal and your grandiose goal.
it. So that's the way I see it. And eventually, hopefully, we'll be able to move into some other states. Arizona would be one I would love to be able to have the opportunity to go and work in.
Yeah,
We
growing
just
up
live there.
on the outskirts of Chicago, there's a lot of homeless in Chicago, and it gets damn cold.
Yeah, it does. Chicago, the Windy City. No, thank you. I'll stay down here.
And the funny thing is, it's actually not called the Windy City because it's windy. That's actually a common misconception. It's because of all the politicians blowing hot air.
Mm-hmm.
But it does get
Hey,
cold and windy.
well, well, never mind. We'll skip over that. I
All
know
right,
I
how
know a
about
little history about Chicago.
I'm sure you do. I have no doubt, especially with all the research you've done. But instead, let's go this way. What's one final piece of advice you would give? It could be about homelessness, it could be about starting a nonprofit or just in general, whatever your heart calls to.
There's a couple of things I'd like to say,
Please.
and that is, please, I beg you, for the sake of this country, for the sake of future generations, get involved. Don't sit back on your laurels and just expect everybody else to do it. Get involved. If it be, going down and working in a soup kitchen once a month or going and handing out some backpacks, get involved. Comes election time, research the candidates, know the facts, all the facts, both sides, so you can make a well educated and informed decision. I know a lot of people aren't going to, like what I'm saying on that because a lot of people want to stick to that party. I'm sorry. To heck with that party. Get the right person for the job, not the right party, the right person. And just really the biggest issue, be an advocate. Be an advocate for someone in the hospital, like our son did not have at the first hospital he went to. Whether it be an advocate for somebody that's on the street, be an advocate. Stand up and speak for somebody that can't speak for themselves.
Well, I think both of those are great reminders and things that our world needs right now. So thank you so much for being here, Pops.
My pleasure, young lady. I appreciate you having me on.
And this is how to deal when the shit gets real, guys. I will see you all next episode.